This week I am coming to you from my home. Like many, we are doing things very differently right now, and we aim to bring you the arts as much as we can. Well, before the coronavirus took hold in our country, before all of those closures, we visited the Concord Museum, which is presenting an exhibition of Paul Revere, the man, the myth, the artist. Paul Revere has had a pretty good ride. A banner for beer, a darling of Disney, heroic enough to sport a cape in this enduring image by N.C. Wyeth. But what becomes a legend most? In this case, it's poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow.
Listen, my children, and you shall hear. Now, I was meant to memorize this when I was young. Everybody did.
Those few words regaling readers with the midnight ride of Paul Revere on the 18th of April in 75 elevated one of American history's memorable, if not bit players, into a monumental one. How much does Paul Revere owe Longfellow?
A lot. It's interesting. It's incalculable in a way. It's the poet, not the historian, who summarizes the entire event in one line. One if by land, two if by sea.
David Wood is curator of the Concord Museum, which along with the Worcester Art Museum is one of two Massachusetts institutions presenting Beyond Midnight, an exhibition looking at the man behind the myth, something even Longfellow struggled with.
There's a marginal note here where he's working on a fairly critical line, only here it says one for the land, two for the sea. So that didn't quite make it. He obviously modified that and he nailed it next time.
In his day, Paul Revere was known, in Boston circles anyway, for his role as one of three writers dispatched to warn colonists about a British invasion. But it wasn't until the publication of Longfellow's poem on the eve of the Civil War 86 years later when everyone knew.
He saw this as a way to suggest, look, we need to look back to our past. Look, we need to stay united. This is part of our history.
Nan Wolverton is one of the show's curators, pointing out that Revere was much more than a horseman. He was an artisan first.
He's engraving on the silver after it's made. This is very neoclassical design.
A silversmith who also worked in gold, copper, and later iron, Revere was the self-made son of an immigrant. The silver spoon with which founding fathers like John Hancock were born, Revere had to make.
The well-known portrait by Copley shows him as a craftsman with his sleeves rolled up. But he really aspired to more than that. He wanted to be a gentleman.
Revere was also a printmaker. His most famous work is this rendering of the Boston Massacre, produced in the immediate aftermath. But it copied a print by fellow engraver Henry Pelham.
Pelham was just livid about this because he said, this is like highway robbery. How can you do this? How could what? But
Revere, it was legal at the time.
It was legal. It was not illegal. I mean, there were no real copyright laws. But he completely scooped Pelham and got it onto the market before Pelham could.
The print sales were lucrative, but also affirmed Revere's role as a patriot, one with a propensity for propaganda, or, less charitably, fake news.
People like Revere and Hancock, they wanted the colonists to look as if they were completely innocent bystanders and that the British are just, shooting for no reason and attacking, and they were the innocents.
And that wasn't really how it happened.
And that was not how it happened, we know that now.
The exhibition teems with historic artifacts. The Old North Church's lantern, tea preserved from the Boston Tea Party revolt, and this, Paul Revere's handwritten account of the ride, including a mid-ride mishap.
He got arrested. He talked his way out of it, more or less. He had a gun to his head, was told, if you lie to me, I'll blow your brains out. Then he lied to the guy. So he's kind of amazing.
How does he write about this account? Is it cinematic or matter of fact?
It's matter of fact, but he's got this way of writing. You could film this. It's amazing. And I've been thinking about it. The guy who should play Revere, Julian Edelman. Revere is just unbelievable.
Patriots player for people who don't know.
Revere, his commitment is complete.
In other words, an historic touchdown.